The Perfect Storm by Sebastian Junger. Sebastian Junger is a famous American author notable for his writings The Perfect Storm, A Death in Belmont, and Fire. He was born in Belmont, Massachusetts in 1962 and eventually earned a bachelor's degree from Wesleyan University. Over the years, he has worked as an author, journalist, and documentary filmmaker. The book begins in Gloucester, Massachusetts. However, the crew soon boards the Andrea Gail longline fishing boat and travels to the Grand Banks off the coast of Newfoundland. In September of 1991, 5 fishermen plus a captain take on the vicious waters off the coast of the New England area aboard the ship known as the Andrea Gail. Several of the crew members felt a bad premonition regarding the voyage. However, the captain urged the crew that they had to pursue the trip anyways. Nearly 3 weeks into the trip, it was about time to return home, but the Weather Service issued a severe storm warning. It looked as if 3 storm systems would converge and eventually form what came to be known as the perfect storm. Unfortunately, the ship's ice machine was failing, and the fish would spoil in a matter of days if they didn't return home. Due to this, the captain insisted the crew head home even though it will put them right in the middle of the storm. Sebastian Junger attempts to lead his audience through an unexplainable journey entailing the details of the perfect storm that the crew on board the Andrea Gail endured while describing the history of the fishing industry, hurricanes, and marine life, as well as personal information from friends and family of the crew. Junger explains the history of fishing when he writes, "Early fishing in Gloucester was the roughest sort of business, and one of the deadliest. As early as the 1650s, 3-man crews were venturing up the coast for a week at a time in small open boats that had stones for ballast and unstayed masts." Also, he illustrates the intensity of the hurricane by describing, "A gale blowing across 1,000 miles of ocean for 60 hours would generate significant wave heights of 97 feet. Peak wave heights would be more than twice that. Waves that size have never even been recorded, but they must be out there." Junger's purpose was to try and recreate the last days of the 6 men who sailed the Andrea Gail. He attempted to write a completely straightforward book that gave an accurate description on what the crew encountered with the help of facts, statistics, and personal interviews with people who experienced similar events. Junger's tone was factual yet also emotional and powerful. Bobby Shapford is one of the crew members and was described by Junger as having flax brown hair, hollow cheeks, and a sinewy build that has seen a lot of work. Shapford left behind his girlfriend Christina, his mother Ethel, and several siblings back home in Gloucester when he left for the voyage. Another crew member was David Sullivan. He was 28 years old when he boarded the ship and was widely known as a trustworthy crewman for saving another boat that he had once worked for. Junger used lots of sensory language when writing this novel. For example, he included a quote from Samuel Johnson, "Going to sea is going to prison, with a chance at drowning besides." This analogy represents the fact that going to sea as a fisherman is an extremely dangerous job and hints that the fisherman will encounter troubles. Furthermore, Junger also explains to the emotions of the reader when he states, "Billy manages to get through the 10 o'clock spike in weather conditions, but takes a real beating. The windows are out, the electronics are dead, and the crew is terrified. For the first time, they are completely, irrevocably on their own." Sebastian Junger uses numerous rhetorical devices in The Perfect Storm. This can be seen when he effectively uses an antithesis while asserting, "This is the end result of 2 days of narrowing options. Now the only choice left is whether to go up sea or down, and the only outcome is whether they sink or float." He also foreshadows the bad outcomes of the voyage by detailing what happened with a former crew member right before he quit, an hour before the ship was supposed to be leaving. Junger exclaimed, "Adam Randall knew an unsafe boat when he saw one. He called them slabs, and the Andrea Gail was anything but. However, Randall walked back across the lot, told his father-in-law he had a funny feeling about this voyage, and the 2 of them drove off." In addition, he incorporates rhetorical questions to provoke a feeling in his readers and allow them to ponder what they would do in a situation like the crew members. Junger asks his audience, "How do men act on a sinking ship? Do they hold each other? Do they pass around the whiskey? Do they cry?" Entertainment Weekly proclaimed, "Ferociously dramatic and vividly written, The Perfect Storm is not just the best book of the summer, it's an indelible experience." However, Seattle Post-Intelligencer wrote, "Not terrible, but distinctly disappointing, not nearly as engaging or thrilling as its premise seems to promise." I thought the book was powerful and exhilarating at some points, however most of it was extremely factual and straightforward. I would recommend this book to anyone who is interested in reading on the history of fishing, formations of hurricanes, and varieties of marine life.